everyone. So thanks again for everyone for joining us today for our Learn About Law Services. Today we're going to have the staff attorneys from Education Disability Rights Project talk and the Education Debt Consumer Assistance Program. Those two staff attorneys will be speaking more about their projects, what type of cases they take, how to make referrals to them. But before we get into that, or just a few housekeeping. If you could keep your microphone muted. However, this is a more casual conversation. So if you do have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to unmute yourself and just ask the question, or you can put any questions into chat. And also, like I said, feel free to take off your camera, although I know it's lunchtime. I'm sure many people are eating. I know myself, I am going to be eating as soon as we're done. And I did not email out the presentation today because it's just really all of it's on our website. But if you'd like me to email you a copy, feel free to just shoot me a quick email and I will send you a copy of the presentation. We also have all of these presentations from today and from our previous Learn About Law Services presentations are all on our YouTube channel as well. So you can always check that out. And then we'll also be sending out the brochure for the EDRP and the flyer for EDCAP after the presentation as well. So I'm sure I do see a lot of familiar faces, so I'm sure many of you are familiar with Nassau Suffolk Law Services. But for those of you who are not, we are Long Island's largest legal services provider on Long Island. We handle over 6,000 legal cases every year, which includes full representation or brief service, such as advice and counsel. We have offices in Hempstead, Islandia, and Riverhead. And our case handling staff include attorneys, paralegals, and social workers. And we do have partnerships with community agencies, such as Empire Justice or Brighter Tomorrows. Our offices are listed here, Hempstead, Islandia, and Riverhead, and their phone numbers as well. That's the best way to send any clients where you think that it's something we'll definitely take, such as a foreclosure or one of the programs that we're talking about today. Definitely, the best way is to send to one of those phone numbers. And we have about 20 different units, varying from family law in Suffolk County to our disability and health related projects, such as our mental health law project. One of them we'll be talking about today, the Education and Disability Rights Project, our Disability Advocacy Project. We have our housing, which is our civil unit or eviction prevention unit, and our foreclosure project, and other areas of law, such as consumer debt, EDCAP, which we'll be talking about today, veterans' rights, public benefits, civil rights. So we have many, many, many projects. All of them are listed on our website as well. And of course, our Legal Support Center for Advocates is here for any advocates, not clients, but advocates such as folks who work for a nonprofit agency or elected official, a church, a government agency, anyone who's dealing with a client or the public and has a question about whether or not we take a certain case, or if you have some if you need some legal information, you can give us a call. Either myself, Kathy Lucidi, or the paralegal Hannah Fitzpatrick. Our extensions are there, but I just have to stress that is only for advocates. Sometimes we have clients who call us and then they say that the advocate gave the extension, and it just makes it a longer time for the client to actually receive services, because then we have to send them back to the receptionist because we don't handle cases. So very important that those extensions are for advocates only. But we also do host our community trainings. We're going to have quite a few coming up in the summer and the fall. We've been busy working on our gala right now. But definitely in the future, look out for those emails. We publish newsletters. You may have received the most recent one. We also have our monthly advocacy tips that we send out. So if you aren't already signed up for our email, please feel free to do so. You can do so on our website. And although we probably won't be talking about anything specifically like legal today, like legal information, but in the event we do, just remember that we're just giving out legal information. It's not advice and counsel. Advice and counsel really is dependent upon the facts of each individual matter. And that, of course, would be by an attorney. Okay, so I'm going to pass it off to Danielle Leek, who's one of our staff attorneys, based out of our Hempstead office in our Education and Disability Rights Project.
Thanks, Sharon. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Like Sharon said, I'm one of the attorneys in our EDRP unit here in Hempstead office. We are located in both counties. So in Hempstead, it's myself and another staff attorney named Tracy DiCepolo. Our supervising attorney is Lynn Iacona. And then we also have a paralegal here whose name is Marsha Vogel. And then out in Suffolk County, we again have supervising attorney Lynn Iacona. She just kind of rotates between the two offices. And our staff attorney out there is Kim Curran. Next slide. So to be eligible for our unit, eligibility is based on the federal poverty level. So most people who are receiving needs-based benefits such as public assistance or Medicaid would be eligible for our unit. We also consider immigration status and something that can be helpful for some families is that since our client is the student, we only consider the child's citizenship status. So we don't necessarily care about the parent's citizenship status. If the parent's not a citizen or doesn't have any kind of status here, but the child does, then we can still assist. And then the student or family has to reside in Nassau or Suffolk County. Okay, and here is what we do. So we protect the educational rights of children with disabilities between the ages of 3 and 22. We attend Committee on Special Education meetings, also known as CSE meetings. We help prepare due process complaints where appropriate and represent clients at resolution sessions, impartial hearings, and appeals to the state review offices, again, where appropriate. We offer advice regarding education issues, which could include registration, residency disputes, bullying, homelessness, disciplinary proceedings, and child protective service indications for educational neglect. Just a little note on the disciplinary proceedings. If the student being suspended doesn't have an IEP or some kind of suspected disability, then that is a case that we would not handle. We also don't handle long-term suspension. So if there is a suspension hearing or superintendent's hearing scheduled for a longer suspension, then we don't handle those cases either. We do consider short-term suspension cases if it's kind of tied to a larger issue. So, whether that be the student is being bullied or the student has a disability which results in behavioral difficulties, which might require modifications to the IEP, then we do consider accepting those cases. Or sometimes the client is already a client of our unit, and maybe we're waiting for usually a behavior intervention plan to be implemented or put in place for the student. And during that waiting period, maybe the student gets suspended. We would assist with trying to appeal that suspension since the client, is already a client of the unit. And then we represent clients in appeals to the New York State Commissioner of Education to review school district determinations related to residency or homelessness. So that's kind of one aspect of what we do. And the other aspect is we also represent adults with developmental disabilities pertaining to OPWDD eligibility and services. And most often that looks like, if an adult with a developmental disability has applied for OPWDD eligibility, but received an adverse decision, was denied, we help with the appeal process, or we help trying to gather additional documentation to support a finding of eligibility.
Danielle, I'm sorry, I have a quick question.
Yes.
What does
Sure.
OPWDD stand for?
That's the Office for People with Developmental Disabilities.
Okay.
Sure. And it's just an agency, usually doesn't kick in until, the client is over the age of 22. They can help with transition services, job training, employment, things like that, or home services for the family, once you're kind of out of the school education system. It's just an additional resource for people with disabilities. And then just one or two anecdotes I wanted to add before I end. So right now, we have a handful of preschool cases that we're handling. I believe there was a news article about this maybe a year or two ago now, but there is, unfortunately, there are more children than there are seats available in special education preschools, and that is resulting in 3-year-olds, 4-year-old students with IEPs not receiving any kind of educational services for one or two full school years, which is obviously very detrimental. So we're handling a lot of those cases right now. So if you are facing that issue yourself, or someone who is facing that issue, that is definitely a case that we try to assist with. So please reach out to either the Hempstead office or the Islandia office for us to screen for eligibility. And then the other thing I just wanted to say is that the first step that we take in our unit is always, always, always to review a student's educational file first, usually from the past 2 or 3 school years. So, we do assist with due process complaints, but we don't just jump into them right away. It really takes time for us to review all of the records and make sure that there first is a legal basis for a complaint. And then after we review the records, we consider what the appropriate next steps would be, whether that's to have a CSC meeting or, try to negotiate something with the school district. And if all of that kind of proves unsuccessful, then we assess whether to file a due process complaint. So that's just what I wanted to mention. And I think that is the last slide for me. So I'll be around after EDCAP presents as well if there's any questions for me, but otherwise I'll turn it over to Donna.
So before we go on to Donna, does anyone have any questions for Danielle? No? Okay, all right. Well, if you think of anything, feel free to put it in the chat and we can circle back after Donna's presentation. All right, Donna, just if you could just unmute yourself, because I muted you before, and take it away.
Thank you, Sharon, and thank you, Danielle.
Donna, for some reason, your audio is very low.
Okay, let's see.
I know it was working before.
Okay, I'm not sure why. Do you have any?
Oh, now it's better.
Is it better now or
Yes.
not?
No,
it
it's,
is.
it's
Okay.
perfect now. Thank you.
Oh, good. Okay, so thanks, Sharon and
Yep.
Danielle. I guess the next slide. My name is Donna Ciampa. Okay, and we'll be talking about the Education Debt Consumer Assistance Program. We work out of Nassau County. We have a Hempstead office. There's one supervising attorney, Vivian Storm, and I am the staff attorney. The unit actually, this unit did not exist until several years ago when it was decided the sheer volume of student debt and the difficulty of working the system of learning how to do repayments was so difficult that Nassau Suffolk Law Services was very fortunate to get a grant from EDCAP, which is associated with the Community Service Society in the city. And we're able to assist student borrowers as they try to repay the guidance of their loans. There are many, many, many ways to do this. So it's a great unit that was started, and there's quite a few people out there who come to us for help, and that's good. Okay, next slide. Okay, anybody who lives in Nassau, Suffolk County, and there are no income guidelines, which is good. And that's even out to the East End will go. So, as I mentioned already, Nassau Suffolk Law Services partners with Education Debt Consumer Assistance Program, EDCAP. It's part of the Community Service Society, which has been around for about 175 years, offering many, many avenues of help in New York City and in the region. So we provide community presentations at libraries. If you would like one at your library, you can give your library a call and ask them to contact us. We also do direct representation and advice and counsel on higher debt. Now, that may include student debt or higher education lawsuits. Some people have judgments from lawsuits that they're trying to work out from student debt payments. Mostly we work with determining the best repayment options for students. I know everyone thought after the cancellation plan last year was didn't go through. That was about it. As far as repayment options, but there are quite a few out there. You can call us. Of course, there are different strategies for each person. So it's best you call and we can discuss your case individually. Let's see. Also, lately, just increasingly, it's come up pre-college counseling for individuals who are thinking of going to school or putting a child through school. It's very important, especially now in light of seeing how the interest accrues on loans and student borrowers are struggling to pay the loans out now. Pre-college counseling is a great avenue to shape and decide what you want to do now that'll impact you later. Also, besides the repayment options, there are many other options of dealing with your student loans. There are a few loan forgiveness programs that we help people and advise student borrowers what they should be doing. Public service loan forgiveness and income-driven forgiveness, which assists many student borrowers because they are only paying a monthly payment based upon their income, not upon the principal of what they've borrowed. So that allows a lot of people to stay current with their student loan debt and pay it off, and at the end reach forgiveness of the balance. We also have help with discharge programs. There's total and permanent disability discharge. That the application, there's student closure, school closure application. What else? Let's see, cancellation. Well, cancellation is what didn't work with the Supreme Court, that didn't go through. Also, very important to know this now because there's a deadline coming up at the end of September. There's a program called Fresh Start. If your loans are in default and then you want to prevent wage garnishments and you want to get a new life on your credit report is wiped clean, you would have to go on to your studentaid.gov account or come to us and we can direct you how to get involved with the Fresh Start program and have your and start from scratch. At least have a clean slate, and you'll avoid garnishments and Social Security offsets. We also, sometimes there are issues with loan servicers. There have been quite a few changes since the loans are generated and the loan money is dispersed. After that, the process, many servicers come in, banks come in, and they take over the loans and manage them. There have been a few different issues with the servicers, and if you have problems with the interest that was charged or many other issues, as far as notices, you can get in touch with us and we can we could represent you with the loan services and the lenders. One thing that people are not aware of, I think, are Parent Plus loans. Those are loans that parents take out on behalf of their children. Those are a little bit more difficult to handle. So I would advise anyone out there who has a Parent Plus loan or knows someone who does to contact us for individual help and other strategies on how to deal with those. Lastly, our unit, as far as the pre-college counseling, there's quite a bit to know about the FAFSA form, and that's how you get free federal aid, student aid. We don't help you fill out the FAFSA, but we can advise you on what to do and where to go for funding and how to go about doing that, whether it's grants or scholarships. And also we can direct you a little bit with the FAFSA form as far as what to expect. And I think that's about it. That's it. But please contact us if you know of anyone, or if you have questions about how to handle your student debt. There's a lot of avenues out there. And that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Donna. So Monica asked, what is the eligibility criteria to get support with student loans? And Monica, do you mean within our unit, or do you mean somewhere else? In the unit. So what is the eligibility criteria? We'll go back a page.
You just have to, well, the interesting thing is for us to help you, you just have to live in Nassau, Suffolk County. There are no income guidelines, but the EDCAP has many offices throughout the state. And you can call them. I'll give you a number at the end where you can contact them directly to find out where, if you're not in Nassau, Suffolk, where you should go for help. So here's our number, 516-292-8100. But the EDCAP helpline is a great, and they're always there to answer, 888-614-5004. And they can direct you whether you're in Syracuse or Buffalo or in Queens, Bronx. They'll direct you where to go, to which legal services.
Thanks.
So thank you.
Any other questions from anyone? We do have quite a few presentations on student loan debt on our websites. So if you are looking for some past presentations, I can send you that list, or you can look on our website. And also, I always encourage people who don't have student loans, or maybe are taking out student loans for their kids, to learn about what happens if you default on a student loan. Because people don't realize, like, taking out private student loans is different than taking out a federal student loan. And that there's different, repercussions. Like, federal student loans are a lot easier to pay back than a private student loan. So it's very good to know the differences between the type of loan. So that way you or your child aren't over, in the future, coming into a crisis about once the student is out of school and having to pay back the loans. Would you agree, Donna?
I would definitely agree on that. Yes, there are pros and cons to each.
Right.
And that's why each individual case is important to sit down and at least talk. And then also their prior history that plays into what strategy is used. So yes, yeah.
Okay, and Debbie, you said, can we get a copy of the slides? If you email me, I will send you a copy of the slides. Okay, so I'm gonna put my email address in here again.
I just have to make one correction, which I realized I did when I was doing it. FAFSA is for financial aid. It is not free. I think I said free financial aid. It is financial aid, which includes grants, scholarships, loans, work study, things that you do have to pay for, some things that are free. So that was an error I just want to correct.
Okay. All right, does anyone else have any other questions for Donna or Danielle? And once again, you can always, reach out afterwards to me and I will pass along your question. And we do, for any advocates, we have our legal support center for advocates. So feel free to call us and, we can answer any questions. But clients who are actually looking for services should call the phone numbers that we listed. So for Donna, it would be our Hempstead office, and Danielle, they could call the Hempstead office also for the EDRP to be screened for services. Okay, so if we don't have any other questions, Danielle says, could my son be helped with a master's degree loan? So I'm assuming he's already taken out a loan and he's paying it back, I guess.
Yes, absolutely.
So Donna said yes.
Yes.
Sorry, your speaker's
Oh,
now, so I don't know why.
is it gone again?
It's
Is
good
it
now.
gone? Now it's
Yeah.
good. Yes, he can call. Absolutely.
Definitely.
For graduate school loans. Yes.
Yeah, we've even helped out. I mean, I know Donna wasn't here, but before we actually established this specific unit for education debt, our consumer debt unit would help out when anyone was being sued on student loan debt. And we did help out a doctor who had all of his HEAL loans. So we were able to help the doctor discharge his HEAL loans due to his disability. So we've done quite a bit with this, so we can definitely help. Okay, so yeah, so Daniel, have your son call, or you or your son call and we can see if we can provide some assistance. Okay, so if you have any other questions, feel free to ask them now, or you can email them to me afterwards. Okay, all right. Well, thanks so much, everyone. And I hope you have a beautiful day and rest of the week, and we will see you soon.